Hello and welcome to Virtual Monsterama 2020. My name is Darren Bush. I'm one of the track directors here at Monsterama this year, helping out, creating some virtual panels. I am going to welcome you to our panel tonight, which is So Bad It's Good. We watch anniversary B movies. And if you're keeping score, this is the before panel, and we'll explain what that means later. But before we get too far into the gory details, I'm going to ask our panelists to introduce themselves to our wonderful watching audience. I'm going to start somewhere around here with, there she is, Ellie. If you'll introduce yourself, please.
Hi, I'm Ellie Rain. I'm a fantasy author. I write mostly epic fantasy adventure books with reapers, demons, and magic.
Thank you, Ellie. Sarah?
Hi, I'm Sarah. My debut novel about a trio of drunk trolls pulling a perilous heist, released last year. I write fantasy crossover novels, and a couple of my short stories have been in the Jordan Con anthology. Well, one was in this one, and one is in the one coming up. And I've also done some pieces for Dan Cobalt's Putting the Science in Science Fiction, Fact, and Fantasy blog series, as well as been featured in Writer's Digest.
Excellent. Kyle?
Hi, Kyle Mitchell. I'm a longtime horror fan. I've participated in a lot of Atlanta's sci-fi fantasy conventions, Anachrocon and Monsterama and Dragon Con, etc. I'm a proud member of the Dead Pirates of Sci-Fi fandom that run a lot of the con suites in Georgia. And when I was probably 7 years old, my dad let us go into Delta Video and start picking out horror movies that were R-rated and we shouldn't have been watching.
Excellent. And I am, again, Darren Bush. I'm a science fiction and fantasy author, but I am also one of those people that helps create and run panels for a lot of sci-fi and fantasy conventions in Atlanta. You might have seen me somewhere in various conventions, including Monsterama. I am also, for this particular panel, a lifelong fan of science fiction movies that are, let's say, not well received by mainstream America, either critically or financially. On the wall behind me, I have a few dozen movies that are, I would never ask my mother to watch because she would punish me greatly for forcing her to waste 90 minutes of time on some of this stuff. And that's really the point of the panel tonight is we are going to have, I'll present in just a second, a list of movies that all have anniversaries this year, 2020, that are important. And we're going to talk about these movies and their place in science fiction, monster, horror culture, and movie culture, and what it means to us nerds and geeks. And then we're going to do our darndest to watch them all before the second panel, which we will then talk about whether it was worth it or not. And I'm expecting some interesting commentary from my co-panelists that I've talked into this little side project when we come back for the second panel. So first of all, let's get the business out of the way. Let's talk about the list of movies that we're talking about here. So I'm just going to run through these. These are essentially youngest to oldest. This year is the 30th anniversary of the original Tremors. Gremlins 2 is 30 years old also. The wonderful David Arquette piece, Arachnophobia, is also 30. The sequel to the beloved Planet of the Apes, Beneath the Planet of the Apes, is 50 this year, which is amazing. The original Little Shop of Horrors, it's not the first one you're thinking of, it's the other one. The original Little Shop of Horrors is 60 years old this year, and The Brides of Dracula is 60 years old. So those are the 6 movies that we're going to attempt to talk about, and we're going to attempt to watch and see if we can find the value in these wonderful movies that are not in the mainstream. So let's start with, I'm gonna put Kyle on the spot here first, which is knowing the list of these 6 movies. Have you seen any of these? First of all, let's start with that. I'm going to put you on the spot.
That's going to be the first question for everybody, right? Yes,
Yes.
I have all of these movies except for Brides of Dracula, which has been on my list for years, and I've never pulled the trigger. And actually, earlier this year, like when COVID hit, I saw some post of like horror movies you need to see before you die, and Brides of Dracula was on it.
Mhm.
And still in this quarantine, quarantine, I still haven't been able to. So thank you very much. This will give me an opportunity to watch that. I've seen
Excellent.
all the other ones.
So you've seen 5 of the 6, is what you're saying. All right. Well, then I should not have asked you first, because now somebody's got to follow that. Sarah, it's your turn. How many of these 6 were you familiar with before we brought this up?
I have seen 2, both when I was a child. So
Okay.
my perception is a little skewed. And then, of course, I saw the more modern, still not very modern, Little Shop of Horrors. And when you brought this panel up, I couldn't sleep at night because I kept singing the song. But I'm really excited to tackle that one. So.
Okay. So which 2 have you seen?
I've seen Tremors and I've seen Arachnophobia.
Okay, excellent. All right, good. Ellie, your turn.
I've never seen or heard of Tremors, so that's a new one for me. I've listened to an audio drama of Bride of Dracula, so I know the story, but I've never actually seen it on the screen. So that's going to be pretty interesting to see how they, do that. Let's see. I have no idea if I have seen Gremlins 2. I don't know if I've seen the second one. I know I've seen the first one when I was a kid. I have no idea if I've seen the second one, so I guess I'll find out when I watch it, and maybe I'll go, I remember this part. I don't know. Maybe. Planet of the Apes, not sure if I've seen it or not. I know I saw a couple of them. I don't know which ones they were, so we'll see. Little Shop of Horror, I honestly didn't know the musical was not the original one. So, I only know the musical.
Okay.
Arachnophobia is the movie that made me arachnophobic as a kid.
We will definitely come back to that story later. Assuming that Ellie allows me to. Consent is very important in Monsterama. We will
Yes.
get her consent to talk about that movie.
Of course, yeah, that's why
Right.
I wouldn't be here otherwise.
Okay, so I wasn't keeping track there. So your score is 1 trauma and maybe 2 others. So I got a 1 and 2 halves there. Okay, all right. It's good. I'm glad we're here to work this out in group therapy in front of an audience. Okay, so I guess it's my turn. I have seen Tremors probably 18 times. I own 2 copies of it, and there's a story behind why I own 2 copies of it. I think technically I own 3 copies of it. There's a story. We'll get to that. I was not a fan of Gremlins. Have never seen either of those movies. So right? I'm like, it's Steven. No, anyway, whatever. I didn't have to watch them. My friends explained both of them to me a lot. I was like, okay, then I don't have to watch them. I believe I might have seen Beneath the Planet of the Apes when I was a kid. My dad was a huge sci-fi movie guy. That's partly where I got it. I might have seen it, but I don't remember a lot about it. And original Little Shop of Horrors, I looked it up last year because of Monsterama's Little Shop of Horrors theme for the anniversary of the Rick Moranis, Steve Martin Little Shop of Horrors. So I saw about 10 minutes of it and I went, oh, okay, all right, okay, I get the point. Brides of Dracula? No, I'm pretty sure I haven't seen that. So my score is 1.5. Get it all together. So this is not a moment for me to go, you guys need to watch these 6 movies because I know they're awesome. This is me going, I really need to catch up. I also need to get my nerd score to go up here. Okay, so let's see. So the next thing I want to do is ask you guys, do any of these movies, and I have one in mind for myself, which we'll come back to, but do any of these movies jump out at you as being, whether you've seen them or not, do you know for a fact, or have you heard that any of these movies are really actually great at what they do, or they're amazing, or they're fun, or that they're worth checking out? Sarah, go ahead.
Yeah. I'm really excited about Gremlins 2 because I loved the original Gremlins. But I mean, of course, I mean, it's basically Gizmo is Baby Yoda for my generation. I mean, so I loved the original, but I never got around to seeing the second one. And then I saw some reviews. I did not do homework, I swear, but I saw some reviews that talked about how the humor element was really amped up for the second one, and that is totally my shtick. So I'm really excited to watch that one.
Excellent. Okay, so we know one that Ellie doesn't recommend. Kyle, what about your list? Any on here that you're like, yeah?
Well, actually, I remember when Arachnophobia came out, and it was a pretty, I don't want to say overproduced movie or like over advertised, hyped, and etc. But I remember at the time that Arachnophobia came out that there hadn't really been a movie exactly like it that had the kind of production value and directing and sense of humor about something kind of that simple.
I guess Anaconda was Anaconda after Arachnophobia, or was that before? I don't remember the timeline for these things.
But I don't think
I thought it was.
Seen Arachnophobia since I saw it in the theater, or maybe at one point we had it on VHS or something like that, maybe, and watched it. So I'm interested to go back and see it, because I remember flashes of it, and I remember it being high production value for the time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but I haven't seen it since, I don't think. I'm excited to watch that again.
Yeah. And what I said earlier, and I said I had my choice, is Tremors. I think Tremors is highly underrated as a I don't think it's an A movie. I think it's a B movie, but I think it's one of the best B movies ever.
Like, what should we expect with Tremors? Because like I said, I've never even heard of it. Is it kind of like Volcano and Twister and those sorts of, you know?
We'll get into. I will answer that. I promise. Ellie, did you have one on this list that you thought was that you'd heard that it's really amazing and people will like it if they watch it? Anything like that on this list?
I've really only heard that about Brides of Dracula.
Brides of Dracula. Okay.
Yeah, but I've not actually seen the movie. But I've heard people liked it because it was a classic. So I guess.
Yeah, I've definitely heard that Brides of Dracula is a classic, and I'm hoping that we can track this down. I'm hoping that I'll get to see it before the next time we do the panel, but if not, soon after. So let me also say a little bit of panel business here. Is one of the things we're going to try and do is we're going to try and help each other find these things on streaming services. That is actually part of this discussion. So somewhere in the middle, we're going to get a little technical here, just in case anybody wants to play along with us. It's Monsterama Panel, the home game is what we'll call it. So okay, I got upstaged by the cat again. I love virtual paneling. All right, so let's do this. You guys want to start? You want to start from the youngest movies or start from the oldest movies? I'm cool either way. We have 4 indecisive panelists and a cat.
Is this
all right.
The cat has an opinion.
Cat wants Arachnophobia, clearly.
Now, Ellie, I asked your cat several times to send me her web links and her channel promotional material. Haven't gotten it yet. I haven't heard from the cat. My understanding is cats know how to use keyboards, so
he's so busy taking naps all day.
I'm disappointed. Yeah, right. So okay, so that terrible line of humor has decided we're going to start with Brides of Dracula. This is Monsterama after all. We got to give Dracula and his harem. Is that the right word? We got to give the nest its due here. Brides of Dracula is 60 years old this year. I am sadly unfamiliar with the film itself and all of its details, but I'm really looking forward to it because I have a special place in my heart for Dracula. The book, the original novel, is just fabulous. Stoker has built a universe that is so incredibly interesting and entertaining, and I'm looking forward to what this movie does with that universe. One other thing I want to mention very quickly is that one of the reasons why I like Dracula so much is this isn't really relevant to the movie. It's kind of relevant to the greater fandom. Is there was a series of books. There were graphic novel interpretations of classics like Tom Sawyer and Frankenstein and Dracula and I cannot find that book in my library. I don't know what happened to it. I forget the name of the series, but it literally was a way to trick kids into being exposed to the classics by making them think it was a comic book. Right? So there's in my mind a drawing of Jonathan Harker hanging onto the side of Dracula's castle in a comic book panel. And later on in the comic book, he runs into these three women that are really strange and doesn't really know what to make of them. And they're not on screen for very long, but they left an impression on a child reading this book. And I'll leave you guys with that. So I'm gonna pick on Kyle next here because of his T-shirt. But the what's your knowledge of Brides of Dracula? What do you know about this film?
So I didn't know much besides obviously the subject matter, which you mentioned, and what we know about some of the Dracula mythology and having the wives of Dracula, brides of Dracula, and that kind of thing. And so I couldn't remember for sure that I had not watched it or not before. So I looked at the trailer and saw the trailer, and I was like, oh no, I definitely have not seen this, but excited because of Peter Cushing as the Van Helsing, either Van Helsing or the Van Helsing type vampire hunter character. So that's awesome right there. I'm in. And then the hype for it that specifically stood out to me was about one of the female leads. This is 1960, so perfect for that time. Hyped it as France's new sex kitten. So I was like, okay, that's how you're selling this movie. So that's what I need to expect. Okay, this is going to be that kind of movie, like a little bit of laugh-in mixed with Stoker. So we'll see. But that's all that I had known about it, was really just the mythology, and then seeing the trailer, and for the period, it's an official Universal International movie. So I've been looking up a lot of those recently because I played the board game Horrified, which has all of the Universal classic movie monsters, most of them in there. And so this will be interesting.
And that is a fabulous board game. I've gotten to play it a couple times. It really is a great representation of the Universal monsters. So it's Peter Cushing. I'm looking forward to his involvement also. Ladies, anything to add to the Brides of Dracula?
I'm just really curious what everyone's going to look like. I've only heard voices, so I got an image in my head. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that we get like the production quality and cinematography of like the end of the golden age of horror movies, but then with a little bit apparently of smut content. That's what my expectation level is at this point.
We'll have to have a glass of wine as we watch these.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Like, are the brides all wearing, what is it, go-go boots? Is that what they were? The patent leather shiny boots that come all the way up to like mid-thigh, and they're just there going do bite. It's just. The sex kitten thing, I think, has set the wrong expectation for me as a viewer. Excellent. Okay, so what I want to do then is move on to, unless anybody has anything else. Okay, good. Let's talk about Little Shop of Horrors from 60 years ago. I think it was Kyle that reminded me this was whose first appearance in a film was
it? Jack Nicholson, I think, was his very first movie. Yeah,
I'm gonna have to double check that. I think you're right, but in between panels, I'm definitely gonna try and verify that. The Rick Moranis, Steve Martin, Little Shop of Horrors is definitely an adaptation of the. It was a Hammer film, wasn't it? The Hammer film, Little Shop of Horrors. No, wait, it wasn't Hammer. It was Corman. Sorry, it was Roger Corman. So the fact that it's an alien plant that eats flesh, spoilers, yeah, Roger Corman and that go together hand in hand. So it's when I went into this like I said earlier, I saw like 10, 15 minutes of it just to kind of get the idea. And I was like, wow, this is a little different. And so yeah, it is a wacky film that Frank Oz came along years later and made even wackier in his own wonderful Muppet kind of crazy way. Do what?
That's the one I know.
Yeah. So I don't think there's any music in the first one. Like even when there should be music, I don't think there's any music in the first one. We will see. So Ellie, what did you say about when I mentioned Little Shop of Horrors? You made a comment. What was the comment?
I did not know that the musical was not the original. So this is gonna be really weird not hearing anything being sung.
Yep. Sarah, what about you? Were you aware of this version or
I
this
wasn't.
original version?
No, I was not either. No.
Okay.
I mean, I guess as far as expectation level goes, I don't really have a whole lot there other than I'm guessing it's probably a little less, you know, cultacular. Is that a word?
No, it is.
I think it's differently cult.
Okay.
It is a movie where I can see it having a cult following. I'm sure it does have a cult following. I'm not aware of it. I think it's unfortunate that this movie gets overshadowed by how funny it is watching Steve Martin torture someone in the dentist chair, and all the singing and dancing and everything. And
So I should not be expecting Police Academy at all humor with him. Like, what should I be expecting with his role?
I'm gonna go with don't expect anything. I'm gonna go with what Sarah's going in with, which is just go in blank slate. Don't expect anything.
Don't cry when there's no music.
It's
not a musical.
It's not a musical.
And I think Jack Nicholson a very, very young Jack Nicholson plays the guy who who wants the gas and wants the dental work done or that kind of thing, if I'm remembering right. So I don't remember if he's kind of like the Renfield. I kind of feel like he's kind of like the Renfield of the Little Shop or something. I vaguely remember, but what I'm excited about, so these are both 60 years old, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so which means there's been a musical, which I will say raised the bar and superseded its original source material with Little Shop of Horrors, which begs for a Brides of Dracula musical.
You're right. Where is that? We need it now.
Yeah. And if we can get the guys who did the design for Austin Powers to do the sex kitten vibe for Brides of Dracula, and I want to go like this every time I think about the
Quincy Jones, music in the background.
Music in the background of Brides of Dracula.
I mean, wasn't there already a parody done by Mel Brooks about it? Something about it.
Young Frankenstein?
No. It's like, oh, it's good to be dead or something. I forgot the name of it.
Dracula Dead and Loving It?
That's the one.
Dead and Loving It. I don't think that wasn't Mel Brooks, was it?
No, I don't think so.
Mel Brooks?
But
I think it was
Leslie Nielsen.
Thought it was
Leslie Nielsen, yeah. Could it have been the Zuckers again doing more airplane?
Wow, that's crazy. I straight up thought it was Mel Brooks given the
we got
comedy, but either way,
it is a funny movie. If you're a fan of Dracula and you want to see them take a bite out of Dracula, there it is.
That is a parody off of it, right? Because I mean, it kind of.
Oh, it's a total parody.
But yeah. So I guess just add music to something like that.
Well, you know what I'm wondering? I'm wondering if somebody on as soon as I say it, it'll exist on the web somewhere, because it's like that's a rule. I wonder if somebody's put together instructions on how to play the soundtrack from the Rick Moranis musical Little Shop of Horrors, and tells you when to play that music on the 60-year-old Corman Little Shop of Horrors. It's kind of a.
Or you can go full Rocky Horror and just start singing it yourself.
There you go. Excellent. All right. So Sarah, anything to add to this flesh-eating plant discussion before we move on?
I don't think so.
Okay, all right, that's a safe answer. There you go. Excellent. So we're nearing the halfway mark, and I can already feel myself getting fired. So excellent work, everybody. All right. So speaking of getting fired, here's the next movie in the list. 50. Yes, right, exactly. 50 years old. 50 years old this year. Beneath the Planet of the Apes, which is and I'm pretty sure I confirmed this, is the second movie in the Planet of the Apes box set. I'm so tempted to turn around and grab it off the shelf right now. So this is the sequel to what is arguably one of the most amazing science fiction movies ever, Planet of the Apes. Charlton Heston and a cameo by the Statue of Liberty. Oops, spoilers. And so the Beneath the Planet of the Apes, my memory of it, my understanding of it is that it's a direct sequel, continuation of the story. A lot of the same people were involved, but there were some key people missing. So like there's all that discussion. I was doing a tiny bit of homework just so I didn't sound like a complete idiot on this before panel. And I ran into articles about things like Beneath the Planet of the Apes almost didn't allow for there to be more Planet of the Apes movies. I was like, oh, okay.
Well,
Oh boy, I wonder what we've gotten ourselves into here. So I'm going to start with Sarah this time. Sarah, what's your file in your head canon on Beneath the Planet of the Apes?
So I might lose some nerd points here, but I am not looking forward to this one at all.
Oh, well, that's not what I thought you were going to say. Okay, why are we not looking forward to this one?
I've only seen portions of the first one. I haven't seen the first one in its entirety, so I'm not really set up very well to take on the continuation. And the portions that I saw of the first one, and it might just be that I didn't give it a fair shot. I was a lot younger when we put it on, but I just couldn't get into it. So yeah, this will be interesting.
Yeah, this is science fiction from the 70s where they paused long enough to tell a story, and they explain things and kind of let things build.
What was it? Space Odyssey 2001.
Oh gosh, well that's taking that all the way to the other extreme. But yeah, this one of the reasons why I like movies like Planet of the Apes. Is that a dog? One of the reasons why I like the Planet of the Apes. The original Planet of the Apes movie is they really did allow you to kind of get soaked into the universe. There wasn't a huge amount of story because there wasn't supposed to be. They really were telling this very emotionally impactful story. Beneath the Planet of the Apes, we will see. So Ellie, what about you? Any idea about this movie at all?
I remember watching Planet of the Apes, some amount of movies. I don't really know because I kind of was just pretending to watch it in the same room because my father-in-law, I've known him since I was like 2. So Josh was adopted into that family when we were 10. So he was really adamant about having us watch really old classic movies on bootleg VHS tapes. It was never anything else. It was never the actual one. It was always one that he had just like copied to another one. And so like I just remember sitting down for like an entire day watching a bunch of Planet of the Apes movies. But I remember nothing of it because I think I fell asleep for most of it. Because I was pretty young. Yeah, I think it was like 12, maybe? I'm not sure. I might have been 12, might have been 9. I can't tell the difference. I just remember it was really long and I lost attention so often. So I don't know. Maybe I've seen it. Maybe I haven't. We'll see.
I'll put the two of you down for too young.
No idea.
Kyle, what about you?
Or Ellie, it like seeped into your subconscious more than you really realize.
Probably.
Yeah. I blame a lot of that, like again, on my dad's great parenting skills. But look how I turned out. I'm okay now, right? And no comment, Darren. Well, so I also had I didn't personally. So my late friend Joe had the box set of VHS of all of the Planet of the Apes. And I recall, and we did that. We did like a film fest, like you did, where you go through each one in order in like a weekend. And I remember at some point it really jumping the shark, and I don't remember which one that was, like 3 or 4 or something, and it just really like made these big leaps. And the plot, as I recall, for the second one is very similar to the first one, but like you said, Darren, kind of continued on. So I don't remember how much of it was like, oh well, we banked with that first one. Let's just give them more, kind of like J.J. Abrams did with the last Star Wars. Too soon. So but that's what I remember is I remember the second one after the first one, which is brilliant and surprising, and of course great with lots of cultural, societal, social discussion and that kind of commentary, social commentary and so forth in class systems and all that kind of stuff. But I think that the author of the novels was also still involved with this second one, so I don't know if it can be too bad. But I don't remember a lot of real details besides that, so I'm looking forward to seeing how well it kind of carried on, or if it was one of those just like Hollywood sequels that like, okay, well, why did you make a sequel? Because the first one makes so much money,
And I have to say, for my part, I love the whole Planet of the Apes. Again, the whole universe is so amazing to me. I love it. And anytime somebody says you want to be on a Planet of the Apes panel for the novel, absolutely. I will fight for that panel because I think it's one of the best endings of a science fiction novel ever. It's one of the best last few pages of almost any book I've ever read. So that in and of itself makes me go, yes, Planet of the Apes is I'm soaking in it. It's in my soul. I'm okay with that. We will see. We will see what happens here. Okay, excellent. So we're definitely past the halfway point now. Let's see if we can get all these young child movies, these 30-year-old movies out of the way. Does anybody between the 3 that we have left, Tremors, Gremlins 2, Arachnophobia, anybody got one they really are wanting to talk about? Anybody want to volunteer to go first on this one?
I mean, I can tell you about the story of how I became arachnophobic.
I would, yes. I really want you to tell this story.
Back to my current now father-in-law. So when I was 5, he decided he was going to start, letting us watch his bootleg VHS tapes. And so he's like, oh, I got a great one you're going to watch. You're going to love it. It's Arachnophobia. Pops it in. Little spiders. Teeny tiny spiders. Because you didn't kill it, everyone died. You had your chance and you didn't take it. Why didn't you take the chance? It was right there. It was right there. You did this. You killed everyone. Oh, God, dude. I couldn't sleep for like months, dude. I was constantly just like, I gotta make sure there's no spiders. Nothing. I don't know if it hitchhiked on someone else's backpack coming out of the jungle. Can't do it. God, dude. Oh, it was awful. Never, like, I basically now, ever since I've always had this rule, the royal decree for if you are trespassing in the castle of wherever Ellie is, and you have more than 6 legs, if you have too many legs, then the penalty is death. That's the ultimate rule ever since that movie. I will not take any chances. If you're outside, fine. You're inside, no. My territory. That's it. Yeah.
I think actually that's pretty much Roger Ebert's review of the film from his yeah. Okay, so note to self: scratch off giant spider from my Halloween costume party idea for Ellie's next
They're
Halloween
not
party.
giant. They're pretty small when you think about it. I think was it 8-legged freaks that was the big giant ones?
Yeah.
Yeah. Those were weird too, but still.
Oh yeah, so I guess part of my answer about Arachnophobia is I think I got that movie, the visuals of that movie mixed up with Arachnophobia. What's the, well, okay, so it'll be interesting to see just how big those spiders get, because I remember
Yeah.
in Harry Potter Chamber of Secrets, those those special effects guys were going, all right, let's make the biggest spiders ever, right? These are all guys they watched Arachnophobia, they watched Eight-Legged Freaks, they watched Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and they went, no, spiders, make them gymongous, and they did. They were gymongous in Harry Potter. It was crazy.
Like one thing I remember about Arachnophobia that really made the scare factor just, you know, immense was not, it was because they were not that huge. They were so small that they were inconspicuous. Like that one, oh my God, I will never forget the one scene with the couple watching TV, eating popcorn, and it crawls into the popcorn bowl. And then like it pans away. You don't see it happening, but it pans back and you just see their empty corpses staring at the empty TV screen with the static going on it, and then you just see the spider crawling out of the nose. And like, I will never forget that. It was like terrifying, and it was the teeniest thing, like the tiniest thing can kill you from that. Wow, that's terrifying. Yeah, so like to me, I guess size doesn't matter for that.
Okay, so thank you, Ellie. Now I'm gonna have to eat popcorn with chopsticks. Oh God.
It took me a while to get back to eating that. Yeah.
Okay, so wait a minute. Are we really recommending this movie? Woo, okay.
I was 5, so you know I don't actually know if it would be scary to me today. This is my impressionable memory of it as a 5-year-old.
Okay.
Yeah, there are lots of scenes like that I remember in it, and that it is one of those that it's all about surprise, and you're in mundane settings, and you just don't expect that. Oh yeah, there could be a spider that kills you instantly, you know, and makes me think of that Reddit question. You know, would you rather battle a horse-sized duck, or would you rather battle 100 duck-sized horses?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of too.
Well, a horse-sized duck, absolutely. Yeah.
And so
horse-sized duck, yeah.
If it's a big horse-sized duck, it's super huge, right? So you can see your enemy right there. But Arachnophobia is like a bunch of little duck-sized horses that you don't know. You know, what do you do with 100 spiders right there? You know, you try and fight one, and there's still 99. You know.
Sarah, do you want to follow that?
Arachnophobia definitely creeped me out, but I'm definitely I'm a little bit older than Ellie, I believe, and probably by a few years there.
I don't actually know how old you are.
I am 38. So I was 8 when it released. So I saw it at a little bit later stage, probably, but still as a kid, and it freaked me the hell out too. But all I really remember from it is a scene where they're coming out of the air vent. Like there's a vent in a wall, and they think that they've like, and then they start like filtering out.
You're looking at his vent.
I'm hoping that's the right movie. How did I say it out loud?
But I mean, I remember that scene, so maybe.
I did not develop arachnophobia from this, and I cannot condone arachnocide in any way. But it freaked me out too.
My domain, my rules.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, I can't condone arachnocide. Well, okay, let me say, my wife cannot. So this is my life. I'm a writer, a poet, right? Write stories. Sort of started a novel years ago, and so. Spiders are a symbol, an omen for writers. So they say that when you see a spider, it means that you should write. You're going to be writing stuff. It's an omen. And so my wife, every time there's a spider, and I'm going to like take my shoe off and like slap it, and she's like, no, don't kill it. And it's a spider. It could bite us. Like I don't know all these. I don't know. I didn't have a a hourglass on the back, so it's a black widow.
Yeah.
I don't know what. So, and so she said, no, here. So she goes and gets like a Solo cup and like a
Josh
coaster.
does that, yeah.
You know, like what? Like really? Seriously? And then she takes it out into nature and releases it into the wild.
Yeah.
This is well.
And then,
That's
of course,
totally
I
my
read
house.
the American novel last week, so it's worth it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so we're starting to have to think about running out of time here. I appreciate you, Kyle. Kyle, you guys have inspired me, first of all, to never watch this movie, but also to maybe we definitely need to have more panels about the biology of monsters, because once Ellie's rule about more than 6 legs makes me go, okay, so if it has 7 legs, you're
Yeah, that's still pretty freaky. I don't know.
seven
Like,
seven
it's
legs.
probably
To me,
lost by the
7.
two.
To me, 7 legs is scarier than 8 legs, which is an
Yes.
interesting. Okay, anyway, we'll come to that. We'll do that next year. Okay, so the next movie on our list is, I think Sarah's going to get to go first on this one because it's Gremlins 2.
Yeah, I'm just excited about an increased humor factor, and I don't know how I never got around to watching it. So I'm excited.
Yeah, Gremlins. Both of the Gremlins movies have always been like somewhere on the list, but they keep getting pushed down the list by, they keep making movies for some reason. So, but you saw the first one.
I did. I've seen the first one as an adult as well, so I have a fresher memory of what to our expectation level.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, to me, like the perfect movie is like Bubba Hotep. So,
wow.
So this is where I need to be here. Like,
Why didn't that have a sequel?
Yeah, I mean.
Well, the things that happened in it, but
Well, it's any chance for Bruce Campbell to be on screen. Bubba Hotep's right up there on the shelf, by the way. Yeah, that movie's adorable. Okay, Ellie, how about you? Any exposure to Gremlins or Gremlins 2?
I remember seeing Gremlins. I don't think I was scared of it, but I really liked it, was my impression. I don't actually remember it, but I remember my feelings about it, and I remember really liking it. So that's as far as I know. I don't even know if I've seen the second one, so I guess if I go, oh, this looks familiar, maybe I have. I don't know yet.
We will find out the hard way. Kyle, what about you? Assuming that you aren't a gremlin yourself, sir.
Well, a long lineage of gremlins. Yes. I remember, loving, of course, the first one, and it was one of those examples, kind of around the same time, Goonies and things that had that kind of style of adventure and young for mixed audiences, adults and kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember Gremlins 2 that well, and I don't know if I've actually seen Gremlins 2 as an adult. I feel like probably I did, like in my early 20s or something, when we were watching a bunch of kind of B movies and a lot of those horror movies, but I don't remember the details of it. But I remember the first one being so mass market like friendly and for toys and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to be looking out for that. I'm guessing it probably fits the bill for those sequels, like doing it bigger and better and more. And how do you replace like what Spike and all those great gremlins from the first one? So yeah, I honestly don't remember. So hopefully it was actually good, and what they did try to do it bigger and better than the first one.
Yeah, I remember in the early 90s, Gremlins and Gremlins 2 being a big deal and made a lot of noise. But for some reason or another, none of my nerd friends really pushed for us to see that one, so I missed it in the midst of everything else. I'm looking forward to figuring out what all the noise is about and all the toys are about too. Any other parting shots on Gremlins 2 before we move on? Okay, excellent. So I did not plan this, but this is the one I wanted to talk about. We don't have a lot of time to talk about it, but Tremors.
That's for last.
Yes, I'm so glad it's last, because this to me is okay. So here's the question that the answer to the question Ellie has asked me about 5 times now, and I've basically ducked in the answer, which is Tremors is what I consider to be a classic old style, like 40s and 50s horror movie done in the 90s with 90s tech. And it is very much that whole cabin in the woods, except it's not actually a cabin in the woods. It's a convenience store in the middle of the desert, trapped in a canyon. And the monsters are pretty goofy and weird, and they're called, I don't know if this is brilliant or idiotic, but eventually they name them graboids. Like that's so bad it's brilliant. It's one of those things that they're called graboids. And the idea is that they're these gigantic worms that travel around right under the ground somehow. And their tongues would make a xenomorph jealous because they're like 40 feet long and they end in claws and they grab people and drag them into the beak. It's a burrowing worm with a beak. And the beak opens up and the tongue things grab you, drag you in, and it eats you, and then it crawls away. They're blind, and they see you through seismic vibration.
Oh.
Yeah,
they
right. Yeah, the original ears, they feel you shaking the ground. So somebody will be walking on the ground, and then suddenly, whoosh, big pile of sand and stuff, and they're gone, and they're just disappear. And so one of the reasons why I love this movie so much is they do the old 50s kind of editing trick, right? Like original Twilight Zone and all these 50s horror movies, where they'll show the person, and then they'll show the monster, and then they'll show that the person is no longer there. And Tremors does that, like, I think it's like 3 times before you actually see anything that has any special effects or anything in it. The other thing I really love about this movie, and I know I'm running out of time, I'll wrap this up. It's Kevin Bacon and Fred Ward as the loser underachievers who have never had anything really interesting happen in their lives, and then suddenly they're the center of this monster attack, and they like become heroic and save the day. And special call out for Reba McEntire with a .50 caliber rifle.
Yes. Reba McEntire plays like the convenience store owner, right? Wife.
The wife of the
what's his name?
Michael Gross.
Gross.
The dad from Family Ties.
Yes.
Dad from Family Ties plays the gun nut with the bunker, with the elephant gun and the .50 caliber rifle and the dynamite.
Brilliant, just brilliant.
Yeah.
I agree.
And
fantastic.
So I love this movie. I can't say enough about it. The other thing I wanted to tell you guys is because there are 6 Tremors movies and there's a 7th one on the way, they keep re-releasing them in box sets. And so, as I said before, my wife and I are avid collectors of science fiction movies. And so every once in a while, she'll come from Goodwill or one of the other various thrift stores with Tremors. And she'll go, look, I found this box set of Tremors. And for some strange reason, it's a curse. Every one of those Tremors box sets is missing discs or has the wrong discs in it.
What?
It's the weirdest coincidence. So I have 3 copies of Tremors, but I really don't. It's sort of like I need to just toss the whole thing out and start. Okay, so
like the graboid came and got
the graboid, yeah. Rawr. So Ellie, do you remember this movie at all? Now that
I've never seen it.
Totally missed. Never. Okay.
Never heard of it. Never seen it.
I'm hoping you'll get to see it very soon. Sarah, what about you? Do you have any memory of this film?
All I remember, I was probably about 11 or 12 when I saw it, and all I remember was terrifying sandworms. So,
yeah.
But then when I've seen and heard people talk about it since, and I realized there's this, campy vibe to it that I totally missed at that stage of life. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited to be surprised. Excellent.
Kyle, what about you?
Yeah, it is really a fun ride, and another one of those, kind of like I was saying with an Arachnophobia, it was kind of a new class of films, that was bridging the 80s kind of style and humor and plot direction, and then with leading in. Yeah, it's just so much fun with the hamming it up, and I don't know spoilers for those that haven't seen it. So yeah, it's a lot of fun with how it progresses, kind of like you were saying, with some more things which I won't share.
Oh yeah, yeah.
How it progresses the plot, and so it really unfolds well, and it's a very satisfying kind of monster movie in that way, that you do build some of the mystery of what is this, and then once you have that, how do we now deal with it? Kind of like the old classic Universal monster movies.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll talk about this in the after some of you have gotten a chance to see it for the first or second time. But there's some really interesting sciencey stuff that goes on in this movie, which is subsumed by how bizarre it is, by how crazy it is. Okay, anyway, excellent. Any other parting shots on the 30th anniversary of Tremors? All right, good. So we're definitely filling up the hour. My goodness, I'm looking at the clock going, all right, we got a couple of business things we got to deal with so we can get out of here. First of all, I wanted us to spend a few minutes discussing where we might find these movies, and I think we have spent that time having fun talking about the movies themselves. I will say that it is feasible. I cannot establish this. I can't say I have proof of this, but I think some of the older films might be available on YouTube. I don't know. I know that I did not have to rent the original Little Shop of Horrors to see it. I think I found it on YouTube. It might have been on one of the streaming services. I have to check that. Does anybody know for a fact that any of these movies are available on any of the mainstream services? No? Okay.
I think that Brides of Dracula is for sure one that you have to rent. I think it's like $3.99 or $4.99 on any of those rental sites like Prime Video and stuff.
Okay. Yeah, it's always hard to tell. I have not seen. I don't think I've seen the Gremlins movies come up on any of the major services. To be honest, I'm not sure who owns that stuff currently. I'm pretty sure you can find Tremors. I'm not sure about Beneath the Planet of the Apes. So what we're going to do is we're really not going to have time to dig any deeper on this. I apologize we weren't able to get to that more. Goodwill. If this gets people to go to Goodwill and buy, yeah. I have
Jerry Maguire.
So I have two of these movies on the shelf behind me, so I'll get those two rewatched at least. We'll see what happens with the rest. All right, guys, so let's do this. Let's go ahead and get started wrapping up. So just to let everybody know, in case you didn't start at the beginning of this recorded panel, we're going to attempt to watch in the next less than a week, Tremors, Gremlins 2, Arachnophobia, Beneath the Planet of the Apes, Little Shop of Horrors, the Corman version, the original, and Brides of Dracula. And we will be back, if you're watching this after Monsterama, we'll be back in a few minutes if you'll hit play on the other video. But for right now, in real time, I'm looking forward to this weekend being just full of wonderful B movies from monster horror and science fiction. Okay, guys, so let's pay the bills here. Let's start with Sarah. Sarah, where can people find you on the interwebs?
At sarahjsover.com or pretty much on any platform with the handle Sarah J. Sover.
Excellent. And Kyle, what about you?
You can find me on most of the social media platforms at Poet Kyle.
Excellent. Ellie, how about you?
You can find me at ellierain.com or necroscene.com.
Excellent. And again, even though it doesn't say it on the screen, I'm Darren Bush. You can find my authors page, my Kindle authors page on Amazon.com. And I want to say real quick before we go, please do not forget that Virtual Monsterama 2020 is benefiting the MPTF, the Motion Picture and Television Fund, which provides temporary financial assistance for needs created or complicated by the COVID-19 pandemic. To learn more and to donate, please go to mptf.com. And I'm pretty sure some of those people help make some of these films that we're talking about tonight. So, okay, guys, thank you so much. We're going to wave goodbye to the wonderful audience at Monsterama. Bye-bye, everybody. We'll see you soon.